Folks, we're heading into a recession, or at least a long reported recession. This is probably the recession that is most anticipated, which probably means it doesn't happen, just slow growth. But something we should all be thinking about is a side hustle. What can we do to produce extra income and or revenue? But we also hear this thing about brand and personal brand. So I wanted to have a conversation with the one and only Sean Cannell from Think Media to really understand brand and side hustle, because they're kind of related, they're kind of connected, but they're very different. And I'm confused, so you might be confused. How you doing, Sean?
Michael, it's good to be back with you.
I appreciate your time, man. You're helping me out every day, every week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I think we need to define what a personal brand is and a side hustle, how they connected and how they are very different. What do you think?
Yeah, when you trigger me with that question, I mean, I've been helping content creators for the last 7 years. Before that, I've done video production. I launched a video production business. I've been in a staff position doing church media at a larger church that had a television show and all the social media platforms. I've been working with different entrepreneurs. And I think the way that I kind of categorize is there's multiple buckets, and sometimes it's kind of confusing for the people that I serve. You have one of the buckets is, okay, do you want to start a side hustle? And there's so many ways to do that. If we're talking about being a content creator, that may mean that you jump on camera and then it blends and you're the personal brand. You start teaching something, you've built a personal brand. And one rental at a time is kind of a business brand, but Michael Zuber is a personal brand. And you also have a business. So there's kind of these multiple intersecting buckets. But when it comes to side hustle, that could include freelancing. It also could include things like there's a huge trend called YouTube automation or cash cow channels, which are faceless, meaning you pull together different B-roll and or you pull together different images, different video clips, a voiceover, maybe done by AI, royalty-free music. And I have friends doing $10, $20, $30,000 a month or more with 10 different YouTube channels that they're not in any of the videos. We probably all watch these kind of videos. They'll take a Robert Kiyosaki clip from a podcast talking about the economic downturn, put a bunch of different images of people walking on the street and the stock market and all this kind of stuff, put the captions on screen with some decent music, and these videos can get 1 million views. That can translate to $2,000 to $3,000. So that's kind of that side hustle side. You're working with YouTube ads, the arbitrage of attention, and how much money can you make by doing a lot of different things. And then there's the personal brand side, which intersects with the whole thing, and I also think is a little bit separate. I think that there's been many articles, Entrepreneur and Forbes, saying personal branding is something every single person needs to be investing in. When you invest in your personal brand, it's more likely that you're going to get promoted, you're going to get a raise, you're going to get people in your city wanting to do business with you as an agent versus somebody else. You're going to build trust, you're going to build credibility, you can charge higher fees. So besides trying to become Gary Vee or a Grant Cardone, which are certainly massive personal brands, personal branding in a lot of ways is we all have a brand at Christmas dinner. We all have a brand in our family. It's basically our reputation. But when we get more intentional about it, we're talking about an online personal brand. You know, what do people find when they search for you? There's rising stats that people doing business with anyone, people searching for any kind of product, they're Googling it, they are YouTubing it, and they're trying to figure out, who is this person? What do they stand for? What content do they have out there? What could I learn for them? Building that bridge of trust. And so it's not necessarily about trying to get 1 million subscribers. It may just be about, it's interesting. My stepdad, who's in his 70s, it works in electrical telecommunications, does like cell sites for Facebook and Google and server rooms and cable landings for fiber cable that actually keeps all of our internet going. And he is building out a studio like yours and mine. He watched my Think Media video about the studio I'm in right now. And he's like, I want to do that kind of thing a little bit different. He's going to put a screen behind him so he can from home kind of like teach and speak to his clients, Microsoft or Facebook and other clients like that. And he basically, he doesn't need to get 1 million subscribers. He's going to upload some couple videos on LinkedIn just to reach the 4 decision makers at a particular company, and that's his personal brand. And there's word of mouth that he's had going for him. Where he is today in his business is because of word of mouth. But now the internet is an accelerant of awareness, of business. And so I firmly believe maybe not everybody needs to start a side hustle because your main hustle is good enough. But I think everybody listening to this should be investing and asking themselves the question, what is my personal brand? How am I building my personal brand? And if I don't build my personal brand, am I going to lose relevance over the next 1 to 5 to 10 years?
I think that's exactly where I was going with this as well. When I kind of posed this question to you, is I think everybody has a personal brand. Whether or not you have a side hustle is irrelevant. I think you have a personal brand in college. I think you have a personal brand when you first get in the workforce. I think you have a personal brand when you're 40 years into your career and you're looking to do a couple of videos for decision makers. So I do think I think everybody has a personal brand. You may not think about it, you may not like it, but you have one, right? I think everybody has a personal brand. And I think the power is appreciating that, uh, understanding that it can evolve over time. What you're known for today can change and evolve. And if you don't like your personal brand today, you can address it, but it takes time. And then if you choose to, you can have your personal brand be other things. And that's where it really was for me. And I say this 5 years into a journey of having a channel, a book, a course. I didn't think about any of this stuff. But if you were to ask me now, the brand of One Rental at a Time and or Michael Zuber, both of those overarch everything I do. And then, the side hustles go from there. So I think everybody has a personal brand, and I think very few people think about it. I think that's wise advice.
Yeah, I think it's a new frontier. And I think that sometimes it's about seeing where the puck is going, as Wayne Gretzky quote said, and skating to it, not even to where it is. This internet thing is real. We just did another video about Chat GPT. Your online presence is real. Everyone's on their mobile devices. People are Googling. My friend Rory Vaden actually is kind of like one of the leading experts on personal branding. And he did a study. People will spend more money based on the strength of your personal brand. Trust goes up based on the strength of your personal brand. And in some cases, what was interesting too, is I'm such a big video guy, but they found that one of the things that people look for authorities is blogs and is articles. What is, especially, I know this is a whole challenge in and of its own, but what is it worth when if you want to be a thought leader, even in your career as a business owner, real estate investor, to be featured in Forbes or Entrepreneur or Fox Business? That's a personal brand thing. Of course, that's being able to articulate your ideas and your thought leadership, but it's also being intentional about building those pieces as well as your own blog. I recently invested a bunch of money in PEMF mats. I'm kind of a biohacker and also attacking some chronic pain stuff, which is a whole nother conversation. But I found a guy named Dr. Pollock, and he is the foremost expert on PEMF mats. And I spent a lot of time on his website reading articles, watching videos. And so it was these multiple touch points. And I started to realize he knew what he was talking about. I watched interviews he did. I watched multiple YouTube videos he did, multiple different product reviews, read lots of articles on his website, called his office, talked to somebody on his team, and made an $11,500 purchase at the end of all of that. And so that leads to business. And there was other vendors, there was other retailers out there. I'm now mentioning Dr. Pollock, personal brand on your show, and word of mouth spreads. And so he's in the medical field, his YouTube channel is very niched about this very particular kind of biohacking health product. And ultimately he's building a personal brand. And
do you remember what his YouTube channel is? Let's give him a little plug.
Yeah, it would be Dr. Pollock. It's like, I think it's PAULCK or something, spelling similar to that. That'll get you there. And again, the extreme example is Tony Robbins uses the Hugo Intense with a mat on his chest and beneath him every day, to electrocute himself, is sort of the joke idea. But your cells are like raisins,
Yeah.
and after using this thing, they become like grapes. You sort of
Yeah.
charge your cells and kill off your weak cells and charge up your
Nice.
mitochondria. Anyways, so I learned all about all the above, studied for 20 hours, and that's a big purchase. I mean,
Yeah.
11,500.
$11,500. That's not a rounding error. That's not a
Yeah,
whoops.
that's so personal branding matters. If you
Yeah.
and this is not a high volume business. Not a lot of people probably into this, similar to my dad. He's 6-figure, 7-figure deals. He's looking to connect with 7 people and have content to build trust, build awareness. And so yeah, I think investing in your personal brand is a good investment.
Yeah, and back to your point, right? Obviously, we do a lot of video here. I just crossed 10,000 YouTube uploads, which is wild to think about. But one of the pieces that are a lot of, I don't know what to call it, contacts has come from is Business Insider. I've been featured in Business Insider 4 or 5 times. What people getting featured in something like that is very interesting because they don't do that easily, right? One of the first things we had to do is go through a financial audit, right? They had to look at everything we had and basically do a grounds up review of what we were saying was true. Now, once that happens, multiple articles can come out because you're on the approved list. But getting onto the approved list, or what you're talking about, it was an adventure. And I appreciate that, right? Because that just makes me appreciate Business Insider even more, knowing that what I had to go through. So when I read other articles about other people, I'm like, okay, they had to do this too. So lots of great stuff going on. I would tell people to think about your personal brand. Again, you have one, whether you like it or not. And then if you choose to have a side hustle, I think it does feed off or accelerate the personal brand. So Sean, if somebody wanted to follow you and what you do at Think Media, how would they do that?
Yeah, you could search Think Media on YouTube. And then we also have a weekly podcast on YouTube, Think Media Podcast, or all the audio platforms for starting and growing and scaling a YouTube channel and really building your personal brand with the power of video.
Yeah, that's what I really see when I watch your stuff. For me, it's helping me appreciate that personal brand is a thing. It is valuable. And I need to consciously think about it. You do an amazing job. Thanks, Sean.